a Tuesday. We will be with you live in 1 second. Takes a couple of seconds to connect here from Riverside, but I see a lot of folks are here already. Let us know when you see us. I see you guys now. We are here now. And
All
clicking
right.
out of ads. Good to have so many folks already here waiting for us. Good
Boop,
to
there
see
we go.
everybody. Hello. David and Stephen and Marty in Ontario, Brian in Dublin, Ireland. What time is
Whoa.
it in Dublin, Ireland? Good to have you here. Top of the
Happy birthday,
evening.
Mike.
Happy birthday, Mike. Are you really at Cheesecake Factory right now? Are you eating cheesecake while you talk to us?
Oh, try the
Oh,
cheeseburger
man.
spring rolls.
Cheeseburger spring rolls. Wow. Sounds delicious. Hi, Brent. Good to see you. Thanks, David, for telling us we look and sound good.
Oh,
Hello.
I'm gonna bring myself down a little. So
You're going to bring yourself down in terms of your what? Your
my
audio?
audio, yes.
All right. Um, great. Thomas has literally just finished watching Weapons for a second time. Great. So
Whoa.
it's fresh for you. That's really, really good. Thank you all for being here. As soon as we saw Weapons, we knew we were going to have to do a Weapons spoiler talk. Like, there's just no way. And I
Yeah.
have seen various reviews that have gone into details in various ways. And, like, I think even the very mention of Amy Madigan
Yes.
ruins the great surprise of that performance.
I
And
mean, look, I didn't I knew Julia Garner, that was it. Didn't know Alden Ehrenreich, didn't know Josh Brolin, didn't know Aaron Austin, definitely didn't know Amy Madigan. And yeah, it took me a good chunk of the movie to figure out, oh shit, that's Amy Madigan. So yeah, I think there was a lot that we needed to refrain from getting into.
I could not figure out that it was her until the credits.
Wow.
I'm like, what is the crazy prosthetic process going on here to cover up somebody and make them look like Aunt Glattis? But lots of folks, Marty says I'm a little bit lower. Marty, let me know if that is still indeed the case. Chris says, hey, Jim says, easy top 5 of the year. Yeah, we have people in the comments of our non-spoiler review saying, how could you not mention Amy Madigan? And I'm like, I don't want to ruin that
Yeah, that would
performance
be a
for
spoiler.
people.
That's why.
That would be a spoiler. All right. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what's really happening here. I mean, I think even just from that structure, from that kind of Rashomon structure where you are
Austin
seeing
Abrams, yes, sorry.
Austin Abrams, where you are seeing what happened through like 5, 6 different people's perspective. Like, I did not even expect that. And the
Yeah.
trailers made it look like this very, very serious thing. Like, this horrible event has taken place in this town. It clearly has some kind of sci fi supernatural origins. So then to see that it is also funny, to see just how gory it is, to see the surprises we get from each of those tellings of that, it was all like masterful.
One thing that a friend of ours who's kind of a stickler for, these sort of things has already pointed out to me is that in the trailer and on the poster and in the opening narration, they all say these kids disappeared and were never seen again. And that's
Mhm.
not true.
Do they
And
say we never saw them again?
apparently, yes, I did. Whoever just came back from their second viewing can confirm, but
Uh,
that's my understanding. Yeah. And so that's kind of a,
hmm.
okay, I not to make a big deal about it, but I know that that's already generating some conversation. The thing with the where the perspective keeps changing, where they keep hopping around to another person and it fills in gaps you didn't have about somebody else's, take on things. Did you ever see that the last Sidney Lumet movie or Lumet movie, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead?
Mm-hmm.
Remember how it would it would go backwards and you would find out that the terrible thing you already know was actually worse when you have more information about it,
Yeah.
this reminded me of that in terms of like, oh God, now what are we going to find out?
Right. As far as like what's happening to people or how
Yeah.
they're making bad choices or whatever. There's a great story in Vanity Fair. My
Mm.
former colleague and old friend Anthony Bresnikan did a sit down with Zach Cregger and talking about like what's really going on here and talking about the conversations that he had with Amy Madigan about that Aunt Gladys character. And he's like, I don't want to know what you think her motivation is or what's she really doing. Here are two possibilities. You pick one and don't tell me which one it is.
Yeah.
So so that's what's going on. What do you think is going on with Aunt Glattis? Why is she who is she? Why is she summoning this kids to this basement?
I mean, apparently, my understanding, just based on what we get in the film, is that she's sort of feeding off their energy or whatever. Because she tells the kid, "I thought being here with your parents would be enough to make me better, but it isn't."
Mhm.
So like whatever she was sucking out of them, turning them into like zombies, wasn't enough to do the trick. She needed them younger, and that's why she gets the kid in. What I really liked in that interview is I think that he really does kind of hit on one of the central metaphors of the movie that we get in once we get to the Alex storyline, which is that this is a movie about like growing up in a house of addiction and
Yeah.
abuse and having to sort of like pretend it, be out in the normal world and put your face on and not registered or talk. You could never ever ever talk about it, but then having to come home knowing that everything's disastrous and like having to carry that around with no one to talk about it to. Like I think it's really hitting that. And I think too, there was a certain point I was thinking, is this a movie about like the fear of taking care of elderly relatives?
Oh.
Like the front room was, like I don't know. That's just a thought. But I think the thing about the being a child and being forced to keep a terrible secret is really where they're going with this.
Yeah, that was an interesting take on it that I did not recognize as I was watching it, but then it makes total sense in that he has to be the grown up in the house and he
Yeah.
has to go to the grocery store and buy the soup and feed the parents and then when you see that he's also feeding his
Feeding the kids.
classmates
Yeah.
downstairs in the basement, like even the kid who is so mean to him, Josh Brolin's son,
Yeah.
Matthew, who's so
Matthew.
mean to him, he's got to keep that kid alive too and he's got to like rise to the occasion, even though like he doesn't really know what the occasion truly is, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's he makes that read an easy one by the time you get to the end of that segment of it.
Yeah. So we have a lot of comments, people saying like she's a witch, she's a psychic vampire, she's a parasite. There are references to parasites in various parts of the film. When you see the flashback to the classroom when things are normal, Julia Garner's character is talking about parasites,
Oh, right, in
you know.
Wales, yeah.
Yeah, like sucking the life out. So that does make a lot of sense there. A psychic vampire. It's interesting. I think, yeah, I think she is draining them of their life source, or she is planning to drain them of their life source,
Right.
and then she gets discovered because she still looks kind of sickly and feeble. I've seen the theory, and maybe this is in that Zach Cregger piece I sent you, that she's like an otherworldly life form, like
Doing
not
an
not
impersonation of what a human being is.
right, trying to approximate human behavior, and that's
Yeah.
why the clothes are a little off, the
And the wig
makeup's a
and the
little
makeup, yeah.
off. And so I like the idea of that, a cordyceps, says Teddy.
Mm.
Yeah. I love that theory too. And I love that they don't spell it out for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think very often, I mean, my thing with the last couple of like Jordan Peele movies, I was in the camp of like either tell us way less or way more. And this one, I felt like I had just enough to go on, and I didn't need a full explanation stuff. I understood the parameters of what she was seemingly trying to accomplish and what effect it had on her victims, and that was kind of all I needed. So,
Okay, here's a fascinating thing. Max and Sparky says he looked up the Bible passage, Matthew 2:17, which is the killing of
oh,
the children.
oh,
Oh.
oh.
Somebody commented that we should have done this live stream at 2:17. That's a
my
great idea.
my screening was at 2:17. I went on opening Thursday, and that was all the first shows at AMC were at 2:17.
I think that's really funny. A couple folks here, DFA 1970 and Brian McCall, are both mentioning the thing with the AK-47 floating in the sky that Josh Brolin's character sees. What do you make
Mm.
of that?
I don't know. I don't know if that's a commentary about school shootings
Hmm.
or I mean, didn't even Cregger give an interview? He was like, I don't know what it means. I just thought it was cool. Like, and that's a perfectly acceptable way to make art. You don't have to have the answers. You
Yeah.
could just let us figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have an easy answer for that one, but I imagine it will. it'll be a thing we talk about and figure something out.
But the imagery is so much like so many of the school shootings that have taken place in America in terms of like, their Maybrook Strong and the flowers and the teddy
Yeah,
bears and the candles and like, just children who are just gone all of a sudden and just the empty classroom and the chilling nature of that, the place that should be safe and it is not, and how people want answers. You have angry parents who want answers.
yeah.
So
And Benedict Wong, I think, is really great in this because he is giving such like the kind of measured answers you give when you are like an administrator in a bureaucracy and you have to deal with like passionate people all day and you're just constantly trying to find the smooth middle ground to placate everyone. Like he's, whether he's talking to parents or talking to Julia Garner, like he's always in that mode of like, even when he's talking to Aunt Glattis, he's like, well, I really have to bring in the parents or else I have to call CPS. Like it's a kind of tone that I know when I hear it, and he captures it very well.
yeah, like he can't really say what he thinks. He has to smooth things over for everyone.
Mm,
I'm sure in this kind of job, like liability concerns have increased greatly as far as
exactly.
lawsuits or whatever.
What if someone brings
Something,
in cookies with peanuts, you know?
yeah, it's different from when we were kids. One way Glass has a good point as far as Aunt Gladys goes with these
Mhm.
kids. She seems to be somewhere in the middle of draining them based on her hair regrowth.
Huh. Hmm.
That's really interesting because then
Yeah.
they're all like catatonic downstairs.
Yeah. And we find out that, like, at the end, we find out some of the kids later regain speech, but not all of them. And the parents never do, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. And it seems like, yeah, that everyone will be affected differently in terms of how much life force
Yeah.
she had taken out of them. But I love that we never see that, right? We can surmise that, but we never
Yeah.
actually see her going like, like it gives us a lot of credit. Good point here. A couple different folks pointing out that Aunt Gladys will be a big Halloween costume this year.
Oh, count on it. Yes. People are already like cutting up their red wigs to give themselves bangs, that
Oh
are
my
too
gosh.
high.
Yes. The scene, Dan says the scene with Julia Garner asleep in the car when the
Mm,
mom comes out with the scissors and
yeah.
hops in the back seat, have my screen freaking out. Yes. Let's talk about the experience of seeing this because um, I'm so glad you guys all saw it in a theater with a bunch of people because that really feels like the best way to experience this, to scream and squirm together. Like, that ending where the kids have all been like, I don't know, turned on, like
Mhm.
radicalized or whatever, the twig gets
Yeah.
snapped, and they're all chasing after her, like it's Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and they're chasing through like backyards and living rooms. That must be an
Yes, it
inspiration for
is.
this.
It
Like,
has to
okay,
be. I
was
hadn't thought
that
about that.
funny? So I think it's hysterical, but then people have said it in the comments in various places like my theater was laughing at it and not with it. Like what was everyone's experience like with that?
Yeah, I mean, people were into it and laughing because, yeah, I mean, the sight of a bunch of kids jumping through plate glass windows to get to this woman. I mean, like, yeah, I think we're not meant to look at this as like a super serious thing, and also it's this sort of cathartic moment of like you want to get her, So it's like you want her to get brought down by her victims. I had a whole weirdo experience in my theater where I literally had to move, but
Why?
so this guy comes in like 20 minutes late. First of all, the movie's like well into the thing, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I've been sitting in the wrong theater the whole time." And then he's like, "Have the kids disappeared?" I'm like, "Yes." Okay, fine. And then he like puts earbuds in for some reason, and then at one point he says Osama bin Laden out loud for apropos of nothing. And then when he turns to me and he's got his phone and he goes, "Hey, do you mind if I take notes?" I just went, and Dave and I both got up and just moved to another row. I don't know what his deal was, but he was freaking me out.
Everything about this is very weird. Where were you at the Grove?
Yes.
Wow. Very strange. Stephen Turner, thank you so much for your kind donation. Stephen says, I need the end chase online. That's going to be a meme. Yeah, I think so. Like crazed kids, like flinging their bodies through glass windows.
And I'm sure someone's going to put it to that Ferris Bueller music at the end of the
Yes.
March of the Swivel Heads or whatever.
Da, 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 da. Javier says, I love the audience I was watching this with. Everyone was very reactive to what was happening. Yeah, same. But then, like, there are moments like the scene where Julia Garner was sitting in the car, where it was just silent.
Yeah.
Like you're just waiting, like in that house, in the stillness of the house.
Yeah. Well, like I said in our review, like the fact that I think it's very shrewd of them to start with a girl who's speaking very quietly, and like everybody in the theater's like, trying to hear it, and that kind of gets them in a mode of like, oh, I need to shut up and just like soak this in,
Yes. Is it Orhan? I can't read this. It's a Russian name. I'm so sorry. I'm going to say it wrong. Julia Garner with the peeler, the vegetable peeler, is the best use of a kitchen utensil in a horror movie since the blender in Your
Gremlin.
Next.
Oh, and Your Next. Oh, that was good too. Yes.
So I'll tell you what, that too. They were giving away at my screening. They were giving away vegetable peelers, like branded weapons, vegetable peelers. I'm like, no, thank you.
I mean, they're handy to have, but yeah, I don't want one that says weapons on it.
Yeah. I like, but along those lines, I like that whole Alden Ehrenreich part of it because that added a lot of humor that I did not expect, both in his interactions with Toby Huss as his father-in-law and with Austin Abrams as the young drug addict. Some people said in their comments, like, what was funny here? Like everything with Austin Abrams was funny because he's, even though he's in a very altered state, he's also kind of our conduit. Like he's the regular person coming into this crazy situation going, what the hell is even happening?
And just his idea that like, oh, there's a reward, and like, which just draws him into the whole web of the craziness. Teddy, thank you for your generous donation.
Thank you, Teddy.
Teddy KGB says this movie had me when it was a socio-political allegory, but then lost me when it just wanted to be gory. Why not both?
Yeah, and I'm impressed by the balancing act of that, like the chutzpah and the ambition, but he pulls it off. Like I've also seen the argument that it's not gory enough. Like I think what happens to Benedict Wong and his partner.
Yes.
Yes, that was cool. I like seeing his life. That was cute. Do you and Dave have a cute little TV tray with hot dogs?
We do not have a cute TV tray with hot dogs. Maybe we'll get one now. I don't know. You can't eat on the couch in this house. That is sacrosanct. So, and that's a lot of hot dogs for two people. I mean, and I'm saying that as somebody who was like not sparing in the appetite department. Like, okay, all right, you guys, knock yourselves out. It's Saturday, cheat day.
And their cute little matching T-shirts. Yeah, it was nice to get a glimpse of his home life like that, and to know like, okay, he goes home to somebody who is like sweet and supportive and warm when parents are crazy and demanding. But they're both doomed.
And for a second, I thought, are we doing a bury your gaze here? And then I thought, no, this is a lot of people are dying in this movie. It's whatever. I'm not going to get
What
mad
is
about
bury
it.
your gaze?
Bury your gaze is the thing that there were a lot of TV shows that were introducing gay characters, and then once audiences loved them, they would kill them. And so it spawned a whole hashtag bury your gaze thing.
Oh, bury your gaze. I thought you were saying barrier gaze, like BARRIER.
Sorry.
Thank you. Wayne, thank you very, very much for your kind donation. Wayne says, the end chase was hilarious, tense, and disturbing. The fact that these kids were turned into mindless killers and could not be stopped was frightening. The reactions by the neighbors were funny. Yeah, it's all just this chaotic, insane mishmash of like people and reactions, and it's cut so quickly and it moves so fast. It was nuts. Omar, thank you. Omar says, please review Night Call on Hulu. I think you mentioned this during our live stream as well. Night Call on Hulu.
We have a lot.
We do.
we're trying to accommodate stuff, but we have a lot.
Thank you for the suggestion. Yeah. We are gonna, after we're done talking here, we're gonna do the season finale of the Gilded Age, and we are starting Sirens. And
Yes.
we've got Peacemaker soon, and there's a lot. And then we just saw a thing recently. There's
Oh,
this
Mr.
5-part,
Scorsese.
the 5-part Scorsese thing is coming out. We got to do that when that comes out.
Yeah,
So much television.
we're doing our best.
Yeah, thank you. David says, Christy, I think that the sign Zach Cregger gave everyone that it was a witch all along is when Josh Brolin paints the word witch on Julia Garner's car. Um, maybe,
Yeah,
but that could have just been like, that's what they think happened. And that
yeah.
I didn't assume that an actual witch was pulling all this off.
Exactly. Yeah, I think in the context of the plot, that graffiti makes sense whether or not there's a real witch in the movie or not.
Yes. Yeah,
They
but
don't
the kids
know.
become the kids become weapons. Yes, exactly, Brian. So, I think various people are trying to use the kids as weapons at various points in time differently,
Mm, true.
right?
The
Like
including the parents against the school if they're complaining about shit.
yes, she is trying to use them, and then Alex figures it out. Alex is a smart, resourceful kid. He figures it out, and he then turns them against her.
Right.
Um, oh yes, Teddy points out Alien Earth starts today too.
Yeah. Maybe at some point we'll get caught up to it. I don't know.
I would like to. I hear it's really, really great. I hear it's really, really different. Carrie Christopher is the kid who plays Alex. Marty says, wasn't he great? His eyes exuding familial protectiveness to utter terror. Yeah, like how scary must that be as an only child? And your parents
Mm,
all of a sudden are not your parents. They are like empty shells of themselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're already being picked on at school, like, when during the good times. So, it only gets
Yeah.
worse.
He's little, and then you get that little glimpse of what his home life is like when it's
Mm,
his story, and you see like, oh, they were happy.
yeah.
This was a nice home, and they were happy.
It was a loving nuclear family.
Yeah, very sad. Math Mateus says hugs from Brazil. For me, this is the best film of the year so far, tied with Sinners. And that's such an interesting comparison because they are both horror movies, but then they
Hmm.
also play around with genre in ways that are really exciting and really daring.
Yeah. And they're auteur driven non IP.
Totally original writing, completely.
Yeah. Which are,
Felipe, thank you so much for your kind donation. Felipe says, first time watching live. Woohoo! We're
ooh,
glad you're
welcome.
here. So glad to hear about your recovery, Christy. Thank you very much. I primarily saw this as an allegory for the shooting epidemic and mass hysteria. I mean, yeah, it could be that too. And you see that gun that is floating in the sky, and you see
Yeah.
how it wrecks a school, a community, and how long those ripples go on. Like the last shot you see is Josh Brolin carrying his son, and you learn in the voiceover that like he didn't talk again for a really long time.
Yeah. And yeah, there is always that tragedy is almost inevitably followed by like who do we blame for this, and obviously in a school shooting there's a specific person to blame, but in other kind of societal traumas it's like, well, we're choosing to lay this at the feet of this person or these individuals or you know this group that's already being discriminated against. So yeah, they definitely kind of capture that mob mentality. That school board scene is just, yeah.
Right. You want someone to pounce on,
Mm,
and she it's not her fault at all. But then you see how she already was a little fragile.
yeah.
I love the camera work in the liquor store. I love
Mm,
how it follows her down in the door, down the aisles from behind. And then the
yeah.
second time when June Diane Raphael is coming after her, is
Right.
following the same exact path but from the front so you can see what's behind her. Yeah, that's really, really well done. A couple things I want to get to here.
June Diane
Matthew
Raphael
says I
also
joined.
pops up in Freakier Friday in the pickleball scene.
It is June Diane Raphael week. That is
Yes.
true. Matthew says I joined late. Was Brolin's dream sequence talked about a little bit with the rifle, and then Dan points out Josh Brolin shouting "What the fuck" when he woke up from his nightmare. Got one of the biggest laughs I've heard in a theater this year. Yeah, that felt good, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh God, that's been everyone's experience here.
Mm.
Sartaj Singh, thank you very, very
Thank
much
you.
for your kind donation. Zach Cregger is obsessed with the parlor scene from Psycho. In Weapons,
Mm.
he takes the Norman Bates line, "We're all in our private traps," to heart. It unlocked the storytelling structure for me. That's really
Yeah,
interesting.
I
What
could
do you
see
make
that.
of that, Alonzo?
Well, I think there is something about the sort of banality of location. This is this quiet suburb, and like Psycho is this, little motel out on the desert, like these places where you don't expect terrifying things to happen. And so this idea of in Psycho especially, there's this, you get that sense of gentility between like the little prayer hand sculpture and the Beethoven on the hi-fi and all the different little touches of who Mrs. Bates is and how sort of repressed and um just kind of conventional her tastes
Mhm.
obviously were. And yeah, so here you have this, these unassuming house, that house from the outside, if you don't get close enough to see that all the windows are covered by newspaper, it just seems like, another average house on another average street. But obviously, diabolical things are unfolding there.
Yeah. Alchemist 1330, thank you
Thank
so
you.
very much for your kind donation. I thought teasing a school shooting allegory, then just saying, "Nope, it's just a witch," was part of the twist. Hence, Brolin sees the AK 47 in his dream, but is jump scared by the witch. I think it's anti elevated horror. What do you mean by that? That's really interesting. I know that phrase gets tossed around a lot. This is a straight up horror movie, but it's playing with structure and playing with genre, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe the movie's even acknowledging like this is what you think of when you think of this kind of terrible thing, but this is a movie and it's going to be something else entirely.
Yes. Hold on. I lost somebody here that I wanted to get to. Brett says, Christy, I hope that truck isn't backing into your house. Truck
Oh, that was
backing
me,
in.
but the garbage trucks were outside beeping loudly.
Oh, can you guys hear that? Oh, okay. Can you hear that my son came home and is like rooting around in the freezer too? Do you want to pop your head out and say hi? Nick is back from registering for. Hold on, say hi.
Hey.
Well, no one can see you. Hold on. There you are. Are you there? There you are. There you are. Hi, hi. Thank you. We're doing our live stream. You've not seen Weapons yet, so you can't join in. Um, yes. Oh, Javier says Aunt Gladys gave whatever happened to Baby Jane vibes.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Amy Madigan has always been. I mean, she has always been a character actress. So she's
Yeah.
always been willing to like go to the weird places and stuff. It's not quite the same as like taking Betty Davis and Joan Crawford and frumping them up. But yeah, and it's funny the people who've been like, oh, I can never watch Field of Dreams again. I'm like, by the time Field of Dreams came out, I had already seen her in like you know, Twice in a Lifetime and Places in the Heart and like all these other like I don't think of one movie when I think of her. So I guess if Field of Dreams is your Amy Madigan movie, welcome your new Amy Madigan movie.
She's a character actress,
Yeah.
like Ed Harris. They're character actors. They could be leads, but then they can do it all. They're very, very versatile, and that was fun to see her get to do this. Everyone says hi, Nick. All our folks here say hi. Thomas says, could Amy Madigan get a supporting actress nomination? I've seen a lot of chatter for that. Stephen pointed that out too. Thank you, Stephen, for your donation. What are we thinking? Oscar contention wise, screenplay, score, Amy Madigan. Yeah, I love that score too. It's a showy role,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
No, I think it's the kind of acting you can quantify, and that's what the Academy is always a fan of that. And she's a lifer; she's been around for decades, doing good work, and so yeah, it's not. I would not be shocked if she managed to swing that beyond that category. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing: Warner Brothers, I think, is going to really be putting their awards heft behind Sinners this year.
Mm.
And as a genre defying genre movie, and wanting people to take that one seriously, I don't know if they have the wherewithal to give that kind of boost to both of these films, but
That's a good
we'll see.
point. And I think there's the sheen of prestige for Sinners
Yes,
that maybe does not
absolutely.
exist here.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
as
But
sophisticated as this is, there's a down and dirty kind of horror quality to this.
sure, yeah, and it's the kind of
Mm.
thing where like, yes, you got the good reviews and you made money, and that's your reward, you know. I don't know.
Yes, we have discussed the gun, Christo. The idea that it was an allegory for school shootings. Mark Cook, want to thank you real fast for joining our channel as a channel member here
Woo.
in the live stream. I have been remiss in getting extra goodies out to the members, but I will do something like that for you guys very soon. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you so, so much. Tom Lewis says that he thinks that this is better than Barbarian. Uh, I like them both a lot, and they both play with your expectations. They both kind of shift perspective. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you think you know what's going on? Boom, we're gonna tell you a totally different story now.
It is arguably more ambitious than Barbarian narratively, but I think they're both good at what they do. And yes, I think Warner Bros. Will also be pushing the PTA movie. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying if they're going to push one movie that is a hey, yeah, it's a horror movie, but look, it has artistic credibility, and you should treat it as an awards movie. I think Sinners is the movie they're going to more likely to do that for than this one. The
Yeah,
PTA
okay.
movie is a PTA movie, and that sells itself awards wise,
Chris Holmes says Oscars hate horror, so I doubt Weapons will get any awards recognition. I mean, it's infrequent, but it does happen. Like Rosemary's Baby is a horror movie. The Silence of the Lambs is a horror
Yeah,
movie.
Kathy Bates won Best Actress for Misery.
Yeah.
You're right. Historically, horror's had a hard road to hoe when it comes to the Oscars. But the last decade or two, we've been seeing a lot of changes and a lot of updating of the membership and stuff. And so I think you know.
Yeah.
This is a body that honors Parasite and Everything Everywhere All at Once uh Moonlight, which
Yeah.
would have been unheard of in previous iterations of the Oscars. So I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, I don't make a living at this. I'm not an Oscar pundit. I
Hmm.
really don't care half the time, but I think that given the way things have changed in recent history, that it's not out of the question that at least Amy Madigan could get a nomination.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I agree. Kyle asks, how old do you think Gladys really is? I think Gladys is a timeless
Yeah,
evil who
millennia.
enters different vessels, right? Because Alex's mom does not know the
Yeah,
extent of who she is, right? And so maybe she wasn't always like this.
indeed. She could have maybe she got some woman out of hospice, and now realizes this vessel needs the work, and that's why she's doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob, for your generous donation. He says Cregger has two movies, Barbarian and Weapons. The Philippou twins have two movies, Talk to Me and Bring Her Back. Who had the better first two movies, in your opinion? I cannot answer this one because I walked out of Talk to Me and I didn't see Bring Her Back because it freaked my shit out too hard.
It's interesting though, we're not having the same kind of awards conversations about Bring Her Back, are we?
Hmm.
That we are right now about
Right. Well,
Weapons.
I think because that's the A24 horror movie is its own category, but the fact that this is a Warner Brothers movie and
Right.
that it's you know, but again, for me the awards conversation is the least interesting part. It's like
Yeah.
there's some I understand the conversation about box office because what makes money influences what other movies get made, and it reflects how successful they were at selling this movie and getting people interested in it, and specifically in the case of Weapons, this was a movie that a couple weeks ago people weren't really talking about a lot, and everybody thought,
Yeah.
oh, Freakier Friday's got the weekend. And in the last as the reviews started coming out and the early word of mouth started going around, it was like, oh, no, everyone's running out to see Weapons, so that conversation I see the importance of. If whether or not it wins awards in the long run doesn't affect this movie's
Mhm.
footprint in the world. I mean,
Right.
yes, you do hear that like when it comes time to like doing remasters or 4K whatever reissues that like the last did it win any Oscars, and that's a thing, and I'll give you that. But for the most part, I think, especially with genre movies, like they live in other ways and through other conversations that have nothing to do with the Academy that will nonetheless make them, endure or not among the people who love those kinds of movies.
Yeah, it's interesting as a shift in voting, right? A shift
Mhm.
in perspective and priorities, and also as far as like, okay, what does this guy do next? Let's say he makes this movie that gets nominated or wins some awards. Like, where does he go from there? Does he maintain this kind of singularity of voice and vision, or does he do something bigger where
Right.
he's beholden to more people? That's interesting too, I guess.
Or
Mark Cook, I want to say thank you really fast for your kind comments here. Mark says, I just wanted to thank you guys as the last through line since the era of the Siskel and Ebert film critics and your more modern and incredibly insightful reviews. Thank you.
thank
That
you.
is very, very kind. I want to get to Irish Sock. Thank you very
Yes.
much for your nice donation. The glorious catharsis in the finale felt like it was calling attention to the lack of catharsis we've had in real life in regards to school shootings. That's an
Amen,
interesting
brother.
point. That's an
Yeah.
interesting point. Yeah. Stephen Turner, thank you very much. Stephen points out Natalie Portman won for Black Swan.
Yeah, yeah, that counts as a horror
Is
win
Black
for
Swan a
sure.
horror movie?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a Tony one, but I'd say yeah, it's a psychological horror movie, even a little bit of a body horror movie,
It
if I
is
recall
body
correctly.
horror when she becomes the swan.
Yeah.
Obi thinks Aunt Glattis is at least 90. I think
uh,
she's ageless and eternal, just finds a different vessel to hop into all the time. A couple folks pointing out this is actually Cregger's third film.
oh,
This I think it's the second one that he has directed solo,
I see.
but has done other ones as a co-director. Stephen wants more backstory on Gladys. I think her actions speak for themselves, and the tantalizing mystery of where that comes from is more interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think we got enough. What we need to know is there, and anything beyond that we can sort of fill in ourselves, or write fan fiction. I don't know. It's just, yeah, I felt like we got a basic understanding of her requirements and her abilities, and that was all that mattered.
Yes. Matthew Gladney, thank you very, very much for your
Thank you.
kind and generous donation. Matthew says, have loved watching, listening to your thoughts on movies since What the Flick days.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being so good at doing this. Thank you for
Thanks.
being with us for so long.
A thing I've been seeing, and someone actually brought it up in the chat as well, is that there still hasn't been a physical media release for Barbarian, which is
Oh,
weird. I don't know what that's about. I would like to think that maybe the success of this film will sort of prompt them to release both of them on Blu-ray later this year. But yeah, I have no idea, because I know that with streaming premieres there's been an issue of like, well, like if eh, like if Sony, for example, put out DVD or Blu-rays of The Crown, which was a Netflix show, but it was produced by Sony. But a lot of Sony original stuff and Apple TV original stuff, they just, they don't give a shit about physical media. They're all about streaming. And so, yeah. In this case, I don't know what that's about, because it was a theatrical release and a successful one. So
yeah. It's always baffling, these choices
yeah,
that they
yeah.
make. I see that. Who says this? I lost it. Someone said that there will definitely be like a Gladys prequel, like a Gladys. Oh, Orhan says there will definitely be a Gladys origin prequel in 30
Uh,
years, like Maleficent.
what was it? What was the Annabelle prequel called? Annabelle Creation. That was it.
Yes, that was good. Kyle says, I'm sad Cregger is doing IP movie with Resident Evil next. Would love to see more original content. I didn't know that.
I didn't either, but I would be interested in seeing his take on Resident Evil more than most other people's. I have no connection to that IP, so I've never played the game or anything. So I don't know, but yeah, ideally, I would like cool filmmakers to not have to do IP, but as we learned from the studio, everybody hopes there's going to be another Barbie.
Oh yeah. So Javier says Cregger was going to give us a chapter on Aunt Glattis, but decided to remove it. I'm glad
Oh,
he did. I'm glad too.
yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah, everyone else reacting to what's happening here is what's interesting and their confusion
Yeah,
and the
the
way we
not
piece it together.
exactly the not knowing, and then really letting it end with Alex, because I think that is the again the emotional center of the film.
Yes. Mick Lebowski, good to see you, says Austin Abrams and Alden Ehrenreich were the MVPs. Yeah, they were both very, very surprising.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of both those guys. Like Austin Abrams was really good in a film that no one ever talks about called Brad Status, the Mike White
Oh,
movie,
yeah.
which I think is a really amazing movie that people don't talk about nearly enough. I think it gets to the heart of a lot of
Yeah.
Gen X sort of anxiety about what our adult lives were supposed to be like and what level of success we were supposed to have achieved in a way that's really smart. And Alden Ehrenreich, I am waiting for somebody to nail his star quality as brilliantly as the Coens did in Hail Caesar.
Uh huh.
Because that's a
He was
fucking that is a star part. He's so funny, and he like fucking spins a lariat. Like it's I love his role in that movie so much. We always
Would that it
say,
were
would
would
that it
that it
were so
were so simple.
simple.
Would that it were so simple,
Would that it
Alonzo,
was so simple.
to make
Uh,
him such a star. He was good on what is the Disney show we just watched?
oh yeah. He was on uh the one with the
Riri.
thing and
He's Black Panther,
yeah
Wakanda,
the Ironheart.
Ironheart. He was good in
Yes, and
Ironheart.
he's good in Beautiful Creatures.
Yeah. I guess he's not. You don't like him as Han Solo, young Han Solo.
I don't blame him for that movie, but that movie sucks.
Yeah. David says another supernatural movie you and Alonzo should review is Sketch.
I've been hearing good things about Sketch, which
Yes.
I also just found out that it premiered at Sundance. I'll tell you, the reason I didn't like make more of an effort to see Sketch when they were sending me screening notices is because it's from Angel Films, and I
Yeah.
was like, but I'm hearing now from like Bibbs and Dre and a lot of people that it's really good. So I might try and catch up on that one.
Did you guys just see me drop out just now? Because I now have a screen saying, "Aw, snap, something went wrong." So
No,
I'm going to hit reload and
I
hopefully I am still here. And now it's saying to me, "Welcome to live chat."
I was
We were
saying you.
having a little, was that?
No, I said you never, for me, you never went away. You were I
Okay.
could hear you, I could see you.
Hopefully the people can still see me. I we may have to wrap this up in a sec because I was having internet issues earlier. We did a table for one with our friend Jesse a little bit ago, and I just dropped out. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, I was just gone. So I'm still with you, says Kay Walton, and I
All right.
believe you. Thank you, Stephen Turner. Thank you very, very
Thank
much.
you.
A good, successful IP can give a director more creative freedom for their own movies in the way Black Panther helped Ryan Coogler. But
True.
Ryan Coogler had made movies before then. You know,
Right.
he did Fruitvale Station.
Right. He'd done Fruitvale Station. I mean, technically Creed, also an IP movie.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was, I think that got him to the place to make Sinners, whereas like Cregger, one might argue, is sort of already at that place and like doesn't
Mm.
necessarily need an IP to boost him forward. But I have confidence that he'll do something interesting with the material. But we'll see.
Thanks to everyone who has reassured me that I didn't go anywhere. Because all of a sudden I'm like, what happened here? Alchemist 1330, thank you again.
Thank
You're
you.
very generous. The early Resident Evil games have strong and fun narratives. I hope you can whip out something great. Also, Angel Studios is a red flag for me, but I'll give Sketch a chance. Yes, it is for us as well.
Yeah. But I hear good things about Sketch, so I'll bite the bullet.
Yes. We're gonna take off because I'm like concerned that I'm gonna lose like whatever hamsters are running around in little wheels to keep my internet going. They're getting tired apparently. Thank you all for spending some time with us in the afternoon. If we did not get to your comment or question, please leave it down below. We always love hearing from you and hearing your thoughts. We really, really appreciate it. Yeah, good to see you. Upcoming for us, we're gonna do the Gilded Age finale here for our Patreon people. We're gonna do Sirens. We're starting Sirens,
Mhm.
and then later on this week, we're gonna have Nobody Two, and
Yes.
we're gonna finally review K-pop Demon Hunters. It's been out for like a month and a half.
Yes, we've been remiss, but we're getting to it just in time for the theatrical sing-along events that are happening next week. So,
Yes, August 23rd and 24th, you can go sing Soda Pop and Golden with everybody else. I am hearing those songs on the radio. Kiss FM in LA played Golden the
wow.
other day.
Okay.
And so now I realize this is a huge phenomenon. I kind of already
Zeitgeist.
knew that it was. But
Fair enough.
anyway,
Thank you
you
all
guys are
for
the
being
best.
here. Thanks for your donations. Y'all are lovely. And we'll be back Friday with news live, right?
Yes, we'll
Yes.
go live again on Friday. So yeah, come on
Cool.
back at noon on Friday and we'll talk about more stuff then. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.